Hey there, everybody, and welcome. Today is Mother's Day. I'm getting ready for a great Mother's Day. How about yourself? We honor the fathers and we honor the mothers on their day, but we also honor the spiritual mothers and the spiritual founders of many movements, businesses, television ministries, and whatever. We do that with the dads as well. It's right to honor both because the Lord says it will go well with us, all of us, if we honor somebody who's really given their heart, mind, and soul and lives, really most of the time, black and white and brown, for us, to teach us, train us, model, mentor us, and so forth. So we're here today out thinking about life, and we're thinking that, God created everyone equal from the beginning, and that Adam was formed first, chain of command. He was formed out of the dirt, and then Eve was formed out of his rib, which is his DNA. Adam's DNA, that means she is equal and to be valued and treated with respect and love just as any person. When Adam and Eve, and this is the story, when we go to Adam and Eve, we see there's no domination, no need to submit, none of that teaching, because it was all mutual submission in the fear of the Lord with the holy God there. It was relationship respect. So there was no law because there was no criticism, no accusation, no death, no choices about who you're going to please. It was selfless. And so Genesis 1 and 2 is the order. And then in Genesis 3, the test, which broke the promise, and the Lord left, and so then sin came in. Nutshell, there was no need for the law, the Torah law, in Genesis 1 and 2 until sin came through their choices. We remember that Eve was deceived because the accuser was kicked down from heaven, Revelation 12, 7 through 11. And there was no sin and no corruption, no rebellion. So then when up in heaven the mutiny came, the first worship leader got vain and proud, wanted to compete with God. He went behind God's, and Lucifer was kicked out because he started mutinying, rebellion with accusation toward God. And that's in humanity sense. So God is bigger, and it tells the picture of the salvation need, message, and how we got the victory over him. We can plead the blood of the Lamb. We've got the word over the accuser. Revelation 12, 7 through 11. 11 says, they, that's us, in ministry and in family and in our hearts to anybody else, if Christ is there with his power, we overcame him, the accuser, the deceiver, the devil. How? By the blood of the Lamb. That's a big teaching. I can't get into it this morning. By the blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony. Watch our lips and our self-government with the help of the Lord. And we love not our life unto death, but it's a choice. And we got to hear it taught. It's not. All right. So with that said, we'll teach that more later. We need to. So Revelation plays with, 12 plays with how the serpent got there, how accusations started on the earth. So there he is. Everything's happy, really happier than ever we could imagine. Organic garden, fun with God and each other. In other words, you go back and you look, there's a perspective. All right, no law, no Torah law, thou shalt not, no 10 commandments was needed when they pleased God. They just had fun. When they had their choice and they told God, we don't respect you, we don't value you like we value ourselves, and we're going to do what we want, chain of command was going to be tested, Adam did not get deceived technically, but he did. We see what happened to destroy the peace, to set up why we need law, the governing law. Back in the Old Testament, before Jesus, that's another test. All right, so Eve was deceived. God, the serpent was in the garden, the snake, Satan, and he told Eve, he said, God, he accused God. That's the first sin. God doesn't want you to be just like him. That's why he doesn't want you to eat that fruit. And so Eve was there. She fell for it. And so she got the fruit, ate it, which was wrong. But then she went over and she told her husband. Now, if you look at Genesis 1 and 2, Then you're going to see that Adam, before Eve was even formed, he had been told by God as head of planet, head of household governor. She was the governor's wife. But to set this up for history, he had told Adam, before Eve was called, nobody distracting him, just God, plenty of time to listen. He said, Adam, son, you can have everything in the garden, just don't eat one tree. That one tree, the knowledge of good and evil. So Adam heard, evidently. Well, later Eve is formed out of his DNA, and Eve is told too, because they both knew it. The issue is nobody had to boss anybody, be told they're unsubmitted, all that law, legal, all that had not been needed or was set up. The story is Adam in Genesis 3 had not been deceived as they say it, and historically we get it, So Eve was, quote, deceived, chose to believe that, it was like vanity. I can be, God is trying to keep something back from me. All right. Well, she goes over to give Adam, the first man, the piece of fruit. Now, he'd had this prior history before she existed. Don't eat that fruit. Because God wanted to see who they really loved. Who do you love? Yourself. You're not my puppet, so I'm going to give you a free choice. Because I love you enough to let you be yourself. So Adam has the choice. Here comes Eve. I picture Eve coming beautiful. I picture, in my opinion, they stirred up all races and all races wrapped up in the DNA for history to unfold in all of us, all colors wrapped up in their DNA. So here is Adam, and Eve comes up, and it's my picture that Adam looks at his wife and he says, oh, she's so beautiful, her hair is rippling in the sunlight, there's my love. And Eve comes up and gives him a test. He says, here, eat that tree, eat that fruit. And he has a choice to recognize at that point. Adam can say, no, honey, God said don't do that, quick, put it down. And he didn't. So Adam was willfully choosing to eat that fruit, take it from her hand, put it in his mouth, chew it, and spit it out. Or swallow it. He swallowed it. So that's how sin got in the garden, by willful participation from the head of the family. And then what happened? The lying devil wanted to get revenge on God for kicking him out of heaven, in my opinion. He was trying to ruin God's plan for everyone to have a happy heart. No racism, no bias, no hell on earth. No problems, no, cussing people out. So that's what he thought he wanted. To wreck the organic garden every day since. Well, we can see in Genesis 1 the need for the law started to come. Because Adam then started to model the accuser. When God comes, I like to picture God. This is my Father's Day message, maybe. All right, Adam was willfully participated, but the sin was, it says in the Bible that he pleased his wife before he pleased God. Who he's going to serve. He chose to please his wife and eat that fruit. With that said, Adam, we watch God, how he handles it. God knows, he's omnipresent, omniscient. He knew what went on. He didn't have to be told, he knew, so his glory left when they did that. So now Adam and Eve go hide. They figure out their plan B, to get away from God. They start to be calculating, manipulative, and witchy, like the devil in the garden. So in the garden, God comes over like a amazing, blessed creator, but a daddy, a real father. And he says, because he knew what happened, they were hiding, they knew they were naked, they were made fig leaves, all these things went on. So God comes over, and because he had respected Adam, and Adam was his firstborn, he gave him the talk about not eating the tree first. He put him as head of home for chain of command, not control or slavery, not a piece of property, the women, no, no, no. All right, we have God go to Adam. You would think that because Eve chose, was deceived, he'd go fuss at her first. But then we look, he doesn't. He goes to Adam, and he says to respect Adam and his relationship, because a a real godly man, should have a relationship apart from the woman, even though the woman may be strong or not, even though the woman is nice or not. So no, not all men are like Adam, and not all women are like Eve, but you got to teach that another time for the law people. So God goes up, and this is my lesson for history. God chose to go to honor and respect the man, chain of command. Because he told him first he had put him to guard, guide, and govern the home, the planet, and be there. There was no law, no critical law. So here's how God acted. Did he act like when he goes and Adam has sinned, ruined the planet, the whole history next, how does God act as a father, the creator father? He goes over and he says, Adam, where are you? Not Eve. Adam, where are you? He doesn't say, Adam, where are you? You have sinned. You are a sinner. He doesn't model. God is not the accuser, people. He's not an accuser. He's a father, but he knows he will react, So in my opinion, because I had great parents, 2 great parents, the great parenting side of God is shown because he doesn't come screaming, lecturing, reviling, demeaning, demanding, and calling, accusing. That's the devil. He comes with authority, but it's like governing authority that is a good parent. So he says, in my opinion, like a good parent, I like parenting. I'm a parent type. All right, he said, Adam, where are you? Meaning he's giving Adam hang time, giving Adam time to evaluate what he's going to say without putting fear, without putting damnation on him. He's saying, Adam, where are you? Means, how are you going? What are you going to tell me? Adam has a chance to say, well, God, I have to say, as the firstborn, head of command, chain of command, that Eve ate it, and then I ate it. Eve was deceived, but I willfully partook of it, and Lord, I repent on behalf of both of us. That's what he could have done. He did not. Instead, what happened with sin nature? He started to hide. He started to cover. He said, well, Adam, he's turned into modeling the snake, accuser, the LP snake. The woman did it. But Lord, says Adam, now God says, hey, I'm fine with you being like that, pastors or ministers or preachers. I'm fine. It's your choice. All right. But I'm telling you, history. So Adam is chain of command, and God says, Adam, where are you? Not Eve. And then gives Adam time to rise up, man up, human up, and tell the truth what happened on his watch, Adam's watch. He does not. Therefore, God has to go to the next level. What manifests on Adam is the accuser. Adam starts to duck and avoid, blame shift. That's when accusing, blame shifting started in leadership and in ministry and life. Because it's a human conniving, sort of witchcraft, calculating relationship being accountable factor, which is giant caginess. All right. So he wanted to play God, maneuver so God couldn't get him. Let's put it that way. So instead he says, well, God, it was that woman you gave me. It's your fault, God. You gave her to me, which is right. The lay of the land, the pit of lake of fire in life, ministry, family, people you love. So we have a lot of knowledge. We've been around this crowd. Because I had a lot of attack, warfare, Christian ministry by one kind, charismatic big boss law. It just made me think, well, am I? Is that wrong? See, I wasn't raised around it. My parents, I have a pure heart. They don't recognize that. I also had family that were men and women in ministry, scholarly educated, not in the law, who were loving and happy and thorough in Bible knowledge, like sort of a Billy Graham without being religious. So nobody ever said, Taveau, you can't. You're a little woman. You should not. You couldn't. Woman, thou art bound. No. So only one kind now really gets me. A lot of, usually they're black or more liberated, So I was born liberated. I was born free from the law, from the word curse law. I never heard accusation, gossip, racism, all this stuff, accusing people, bitter, grudges against. I never heard that till later in real life. I never did. So this is our first installment for our Mother's Day liberating the men. A lot of now African Americans, bishops, and they don't do that I've never had anything done, because they're not into that old-timey white, maybe, country law, Mountain Williams School of Theology. So we're born to be, I used to be born to be mild. I've been pretty mild till I found out all this big shotism existed, territorial turf taking, calling out people now on TMZ video and putting your name in your face and making money from it, bashing prosperity teachers to take in coinage for your pockets. That's really got me stirred, really did. So my other one, I got on really, because I heard the people bashing 2 nights ago. I was flipping through trying to find a calm worship or joyful worship praise video on YouTube, and a ministry of, a little word of encouragement to supplement, my life on YouTube. Instead, I'd somehow triggered all these accusers, put the same old faces, the same faces they put up all the time, junior ministers going after famous people who are different, branch of the body, who are more diverse than they, who never accuse anybody, who are not doing it. They may have gotten wealthy in the last move, but that's not my business. That was probably not their choice, and I watch who I watch. I watch their fruit, their family, their relationships, their character. But I don't know those people. But I would never dare, as a senior office, to go after people worldwide known, because I don't walk on their level. I have never walked in I know their fruit. I can tell you a lot of things about biased fruit from a lot of these, but they would know it. So that's another story, but that is history. So we're trying to get Adam and Eve properly retaught. Later, to put a PS on this chapter, we have no need for the law, Genesis 1 and 2, no sin. Genesis 3 is the reason accusation and hell on earth started, curses. Then we have the law in the Old Testament, and then its time was up, so Jesus came to reinstill a new form of self-government, not accusation, but overcoming by the power of his might. The word of the Lord, long-suffering, taking up your cross, forgiving. He had a whole new government, not systems, not elitism, no, not elitism, not good old boy, good old person, but he had individual heart deposits of his strength and power by grace, free in the Holy Spirit, book of Acts, if we want to know about it, if we will tell about it. He gave us already the end of the book, even though life is really hard and tests, Revelation 12, 7 through 11, that we don't hear this anywhere, but it was prophesied on the Isle of Patmos that the church finally got it. We need to work on that now, folk. It says the power was given back because of Christ, his victory on the cross to overcome him. Us, the Christians, true Christians that know about it, they overcame him. John on the Isle of Patmos saw it. I'm not playtime, everybody. They think you are. They think you are because you're not famous. And I don't care about that. I care about the Lord and the people who need this, who love God, who love people, who are loving. All right. They overcame him, prophesied way on the Isle of Patmos. Oh, I saw a time in the body, all the men and women who love the Lord overcame the accuser by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony and good teaching, and they loved not their life unto death. So that means they would know how to handle it when they were accused, persecuted, in pain because of accusation and justice, and still keep going with God's strength and help if they want to, and racism as well. And then they also had power of self-authority over their lips, not to abuse anybody, cuss anybody, word curse, and call them, like lose their cool if they saw sin, like God did not with Adam. If God could restrain himself with his power and not word curse, revile, damn Adam, then I think you and I owe God the respect of working on it for ourselves as well, with family, with ourselves, with other people, and in ministry. God bless you. So the PS, I'm going to continue on. If this signal lasts, and make a next one, which will be about when I saw flipping past me, helpless to have to notice, there was one of the favorite TMZ types, not Book of Acts, going to the Book of Acts and saying, calling down women preachers, reviling the top 3. Hey, that's your choice. So I'm going to give you new insight, new non-Levitical teaching, and then address that because it's interesting. I don't follow those people. I respect them, but I respect both sides, those that do it and those that don't. But I feel a lot of it is fanning up more word cursing and more division, more strife, and more cynics. Who can you trust now? They're all bad. That's the reason. God bless you. Have a happy day, Mother's Day. God bless.